It is with a very heavy heart I must report that the great and amazing Keith Giffen has passed. For those not aware, Keith did a lot in the comic book field. Probably the most famous contributions, of course, will be him co-creating Lobo and Rocket of Guardians of Galaxy fame. Although Rocket basically was by himself for a while. But we're not going to get into the details of his creations, although there are so many as well as the projects. I can only give a very short overview. The career is, and his contributions go on almost every possible genre. Admittedly, it's mainly the superhero work, but even there's such a variety. There are so many different kinds of comics, so many different styles he played with, and he was also much of an artist himself. Granted, in terms of being an artist, he never quite was in the big leagues. It has its own really interesting, distinct style. But as a writer, I would easily name him probably top 10 writer of all time in comic books. And as a comic writer, I would have to say he's actually better than even Joss Whedon, although I do admire Joss Whedon. The consistency of Giffen's work, pretty astonishing, and there's not enough really I can say about him in terms of praise, and he inspired me for a long time to enter the comic book field, but ironically, one reason I didn't pursue it as hard as I should have is that he really does make so many other writers' work pale in comparison. There's just not much you're going to improve on once you try to measure up to him in terms of books by individual or even group protagonists. He really set so many milestones from Justice League, Legion, Lobo, of course, but also so many individual projects. He worked with DC, Marvel, Image. He worked with all the big ones, had his own creations. I know, admittedly, probably his DC work will be the most long lasting, although he's not a big name probably to most readers today. If you did grow up with comic books in the 80s and 90s, he was somewhat inescapable. From what I can tell, just a very, very nice guy. Very caustic, very witty, so he liked playing a lot of jokes on people, and his own comics actually made a lot of references to DC personnel and just had a lot of fun playing around with them. We're all the poorer for him leaving the earth very early. He died at the ripe old age of 70, so he did live a full life, but there's a lot he did. A lot he did. And it's kind of sad that he is no longer with us. I'd immediately say just seek out his work. In fact, just doing this, I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, he did stuff with Eric Larson. So I could go on for hours and hours about his individual work or his collective work. But whatever angle we're going to look at him, he is an amazing person.
Understand the character. And I said, since when? And he goes, well, we're not all like that. We don't just take your characters and do it. And I hung up on him. Never heard him again. But then that's okay, because every time I've interacted with a Hollywood star or a Hollywood producer or director, it's been an unmitigated